we will create a sample project, sample SSIS package, where I will show you a live demo how the SSIS will work, and we will successfully complete it. Okay, and once I complete that, in the next session, next phase, what I will ask is, I will ask you to go through some of the reference documents, and before you come to the tomorrow's class, right? So that you will be you will have knowledge before I start the class, so that you can understand the class very clearly, right? So any other questions, just let me know. But so this will be for next 1 hour or so. So if you have any questions, just ping it in the chat window, and we can have a session in between. Okay. So this is SSIS. SSIS is nothing but SQL Server Integration Services. Okay. SSIS is a ETL platform to transform the different information source into a database or a different destination. Okay. So why SSIS? SSIS solves some of the complex business problems. So what kind of complex business problems it can solve? So it can process data into a data warehouse. So what is a data warehouse? I strongly repeat, and please understand, data warehouse is not another physical storage or something. A data warehouse is nothing but the data is stored in a database. It will be stored, example, it can be in a SQL Server database, or it can be in a data warehouse. Okay, but the type of design, the denormalized design it has, will make that concept as a data warehouse. Otherwise, it will be a database. The physical storage is database, but the concept is data warehouse. Okay, so ETL can process the data into a data warehouse. It can fetch the data from the different source systems, and it can load into the data warehouse, right? And movement of data from traditional systems to the new systems. Okay, so what do you mean by traditional system? So you may be having Excel sheet, or you may be having an Access database, or you may be having MySQL database, or you may be having the data in mainframes, right? DB2 database, right? So the data can be anywhere. What it will do is it will pull the data into data from the sources, and which you will put into the target. So what it will do is, like, why SSIS is, it is used in migrating of applications. So what do I mean by migrating of applications? If example, if a project is running using Java and Sybase, Java is a front-end platform, and say suppose Sybase is a database for Java platform. So suddenly company has decided that no, what we should do is, like, Sybase is very old and there is no support from the Sybase, and there are no features, new features in the Sybase world, but we want to go to a very powerful database, which is SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. So I want to do a migration project. So I want to keep the Java as a front end, but the backend portion, which is database, which is in the Sybase, what I want to do is, I want to convert that Sybase into Microsoft SQL Server. So how can I convert? Because it's a different database. SQL Server is a different database. How can I move the data? Is a question, right? So SSIS is a tool which helps you to migrate the data, right? When the application migration is happening, SSIS helps to migrate the data from one place to other place. Okay. Integration of data from multiple systems by data migration exchange, as I tell, right? Managing SQL Server objects and other objects. So if you have, if few people in this session, right? If you have knowledge about Microsoft SQL Server objects, say it as a login or some schemas, or some you have database backup, database recovery, any concept, right, which you deal with the Microsoft SQL Server, right? So that can be automated using SSIS. So we have some methodologies where you can play around with SQL Server objects, so that your process can be automated. So basically, just remember one thing: if you want to understand what is SSIS, SSIS is nothing but SQL Server Integration Services. As the name itself says, it can integrate the data from the different source systems into one single place. The source system can be anything, and the destination system can be anything, right? So this is where the SSIS comes into the play. Okay, I hope this clarifies SSIS. And by the end of the class, you should not be in a position where you don't understand what is SSIS and what is used. If you have that question, please raise a voice or please raise your question in the chat window. I will try to explain in some other format, but at the end of that, I want you to understand the SSIS, the meaning of SSIS, why it is used. Okay. Okay, so we talked about SSIS, right? SQL Server Integration Service. What it is, it's a component of Microsoft SQL Server database software that can be used to perform a broad range of data integration and data transformation tasks. I just explained you something about that. But what I mean by the data transformations, data transformation is nothing but the data may be in one format, you may be changing the data into another format. Okay, example, let us take the example of some source, right? Like in some source, you have the source of bank accounts. Okay? So the account codes earlier, when the customers were few, the bank account code used to be only 7 digit or 8 digit. Okay, but now the customers are growing in every bank. Right? Example, let us take the example of HDFC Bank in India. Right? In HDFC Bank back in India, they had few customers 10 years ago, but now they have heavy customers. So when they released the account code for the first time, they might have released only 7 character or 8 character, but now it is maybe 13 character, right? So what happens is the new account codes are in 13 character, the old account codes are in 7 characters, right? There is no standardization. So but when we are pulling, example, if you are pulling the account information from the database, right? You get half of the data, you get 7 characters, half of the data you get as 13 characters, which is not good, right? So what happens, what we can do is, we can convert those 7 characters into 13 character format. So what we do is, we prefix all the 6 zeros before the old account. If it is a 7 digit account, we will prefix 6 zeros so that it becomes also 13 digit. And if it is a new one, already that is a 13 digit. So this is a type of transformation we can do in SSIS. Okay. So it can help as a workflow. Okay, so back to the basics. When you are in school, you might be studying about flow charts. Maybe 9th class or 10th class. There are the concepts of flow chart, right? So what a flow chart does, like one example, so I could remember in the flow charts from my school days, right? Example, if a person wants to go to a telephone booth and put some money and call a person and talk to him. This is the problem statement. A person should go to a telephone booth, insert some coins into the telephone box, dial the number, if it connects, talk to him and come out of the telephone booth. This is the problem statement. So what is the workflow for this? The first start is the first workflow. Second one, he will go to the telephone booth. Next one is a pick the telephone. Next one is insert the coin. And next one is dial the number. And next one is the condition. If the call is connected, he will talk to the person. Other condition, if the call is not connected, then he will try it again. He will try the same process again. And he will try for 3 times or 4 times. And if the call is not connected, he will come out of it. If the call is connected, he will talk for 5 minutes and come out of it. And it is the end. So this is the workflow, right? Very simple example, what I studied in school days. Right? This is a workflow for a person who is doing a telephone call in a telephone booth. In the same way, in the business scenarios also, you have the same concept. You should be checking a lot of conditions like this, and if it is successful, go here. If it is not successful, go here. Just at the end of the day, in here. So there is a standard process called workflow. The same type of workflow can be implemented in SSIS. Okay. So SSIS has 2 major capabilities. One is the handling the workflow. Okay, and handling the data flow. These are the 2 important strengths of SSIS. Okay, so the next one is the tasks of data transformation and workflow creation is carried out using SSIS package. So what do you mean by that? So you have the operational data, right? The data can be in a SQL Server table, DB2 Informatics. It can be in a spreadsheet. It can be in an Excel sheet. It can be in a SAP system, ERP, or anywhere, right? It can be any operational data, right? So we use SSIS here and we load into a data warehouse, or it can be in any some other place. But to remember, just to remembrance, we have given this picture that any operational data, if you transform, that will be loaded into some data warehouse or any other database, we use SSIS for that. Okay, just remember this picture and you will be able to understand what is SSIS. Okay, so what I'll do is, these are the theoretical concepts of SSIS, but until and unless you understand the practical nature of SSIS, you will not be able to work in a comfortable position. But what this theoretical concept will help is, it will give a high level overview what is SSIS, and then I'll jump into the practical concept, right? I'll go and I'll do a package and I'll show you something, right? And again, when you receive these slides and again when you read this theory back, then you'll be able to completely understand and you'll be in a very comfortable position. So it's not like that I teach some topic and I show a practical example and you don't know anything. It's not like that. So we need also commitment from you, right? So once you have learned the practicals, you should come back to the slides and see, okay, we have explained this, this is what it means, and you go to the practicals. So you have to go here and there to understand the most of the topics. So how a person can improve the knowledge is by only continuous learning. So I can teach you only like what is this thing, but you can improve the knowledge, find the operation only by yourself. So I strongly suggest, go through the different things, work hard until for next 1 month, and you'll be able to find a very good opportunity in the area of MSBI. Okay. So there are different sections in SSIS package. So before I go here, right? So we already talked about ETL. And how SSIS will do the ETL processing. Okay. But to go deeper into that, you need to understand something, right? So if you already know the languages, example C language. In C language we write a program, right? In C language we write a program, and once you complete the program, you will execute the program. So in C language we call it as a program, right? But in SSIS we don't call it as a program. We call it as a package. C language, Java, .NET, all this we call it as programs, right? In SSIS we don't call it as program, we call it as a package. Okay, what is a package? Package is a bundle of things which are together. Okay, so a package will contain connections to which source system and to which target system you want to connect. That are your connections. So I told you, right, SSIS helps you to control the flow, the workflow. To control the workflow, we use a concept called control flow. And SSIS helps you to move the data from one place to other place. So we use a concept called data flow. And if there are any failures in the package, if there are any exceptions, or if something has to be generated very dynamically, then we use some other concepts like event handlers, variables, parameters, and configurations. But what are those things, how it is used, I have to tell you very deeply. So we will see the examples. So this is very high level view of the SSIS package. So two concepts important: control flow and data flow. Control flow is nothing but workflow. It is a flow chart. Control flow is nothing but flow chart. Data flow is nothing but movement of the data. Control flow is a flow chart. Data flow is movement of the data. Two important concepts. So control flow elements plus data flow elements. If you combine these two, then becomes a package. This is called as a SSIS package. Okay. So what we'll do is, again our aunt Annie has come here, so she will be asking some question. Okay. So what is basically the integration service? Can someone answer in the chat window? What is basically the integration service? Okay, someone answered that integration service is nothing but a ETL tool. Okay, so let us see the answer for that. So what is the answer for the integration? Means merging of the data from different data stores, right? So it is a ETL concept, refreshing data into data warehouses and clean the data. It basically extract, transform, and load. Okay, so this is called as an integration process. But in SSIS we have some service, the real service, which will keep the SSIS up and running. which we also called as an integration service. I will show you that what is that integration service. But this is the concept of integration SSIS. It is a ETL concept, but there is an integration service behind the SSIS package, which is making the SSIS package up and running. Okay. Okay, here we are. Okay. So let me let's create a SSIS package. Okay. So I'm just trying to avoid the slides here, so that I can show you the practical example of that. Okay. So if you can see my screen, I just went to my desktop. So this is very important. I see some people, if they are not attentive to the class, so this is the place where you can be attentive, because here you are going to see the real installation of SSIS package and real demo of SSIS package. So after this you will be very comfortable in knowing actually how MSBI looks like and how the installation looks like. Okay. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to start all programs. Okay. So when you install SQL Server 2014, you get some things. But what I do is in my laptop, every time a new software comes, what I do is I install that software and play with it. So right from 2005 version, I have the different software. I have 2005 software, 2008 software, 2008 R2, 2012, 2014. So I'm keeping track of each and every version of Microsoft product, and everything is available in the laptop. So we are teaching this, very important. We are teaching this course in Microsoft SQL Server 2014. It means that you are learning MSBI 2014, very latest in the market. The advantage you get when you learn MSBI 2014 is all the features covered in 2012, 2008 and 2005 will be there in 2014, and there are some new features in 2014. So when you work with this, like, you will have the opportunity to learn about the previous versions also. Okay. So this is I will install Microsoft SQL Server 2014. I just when I expand this, I have the different things here. Okay. So I have so many things as part of MSBI, but we will try to learn everything step by step. Okay. So for creating a business intelligence application, for creating a MSBI application, what you should do is you should click on one of the things which is called as SQL Server Data Tools for Visual Studio 2013. Okay. So this is something important, and if someone has already experience of you installing the SSIS, or if installing MSBI for the previous versions, right? So there is something changed from 2014. So what you have to do is, first of all, you have to install SQL Server 2014, which is available as an evaluation edition, which is evaluation enterprise edition, which is given free by Microsoft currently for 6 months. Okay, this can be downloadable from the internet. So Edureka will give you the links and all, so you can do that. So we will install this one, but what happens is when you install SQL Server 2014, you will install SQL Server database, and it will install SSIS, it will install AS, and it will install SSRS. But what happens is there is a missing piece of information. Okay, so this is very important. When you install this, there is missing piece of information, which is SQL Server Data Tools, which we call as SQL Server, which we call as SSDT for Visual Studio 2013. So what you have to do is, once you install the complete version of SQL Server 2014, you have to download. It will be usually with the name SSDT SSDT BI X86. So it starts something with this name .exe, something like this, right? So what you have to do is, once you complete the installation of SQL Server 2014, you have to install this particular software as a new installation, as a new instance to your computer. Then once you do that, you will get a software called SQL Server Data Tools for Visual Studio 2013. So using this software, business intelligence applications can be developed. So what is the meaning of business applications? We can do we can develop SSIS, AS and RS. So without this tool, right, you cannot do anything in MSBI. So basically install SQL Server 2014 and install SQL Server data tools for Visual Studio 2013, and then you will be able to develop SSIS, AS and RS. Okay. So I'm just going back here. All programs, SQL Server 2014. So you have a SQL Server data tools for Visual Studio 2000. This is the place where you will create the BA applications, right? And this is SQL Server 2014 Management Studio, right? This is a SQL Server database. So using this database, you can create the denormalized structures, or you can create some table databases and all those things using this one. But this is for BI. So once you click here, what happens is it will open something like, already I have opened a particular project. So what I'll do is I'll do it again. I'll go here, I'll open here, and I'll do it again. Okay, I'll just click it. Okay, so what it will do is it will open Visual Studio for 2013. Okay, so this is called as 2013 shell, integrated shell. So when you open this for first time, right, when you open this for first time in your laptops, it will take 5 to 10 minutes to load, depending on your performance of the laptop and connection, right? So some of the things it tries to download from the internet. Okay, so even I open the multiple times, what it is doing, it is taking some time to load in the system. Okay, but already I have few things opened in MSBI 2014, but now it has opened within seconds, right? Maybe in 10 to 15 seconds. But when you remember, when you open the first time, it will take maybe 5 to 10 minutes also. Okay, so this is the place. So SQL Server Data Tools is a place for creating MSBI projects. Okay, in the previous versions until 2008 R2, okay, we used to have a place called Business Intelligence Development Studio. Okay, so this data, okay, very important, because someone might be confused, what is this SQL Server Data Tools, and if you are talking to a real-time person in the MSBI industry, right, usually before SQL Server 2008 R2, so for developing the BA applications, we call a place called Business Intelligence Development Studio. So before 2008 R2, we call it as the Business Intelligence Development Studio. Usually this short form is called as BITS. If you are working before SQL Server 2008 R2, okay, including 2008 R2, okay, before that, including 2008 R2 and before that. So that the developing place is called as Business Intelligence Development Studio. But after SQL Server 2008 R2, okay, after this is called as SSDT, SQL Server Data Tools. Okay, before 2008 R2, we call it as Business Intelligence Development Studio, and after 2008 R2, it is called as SQL Server Data Tools. Okay, so if you're talking to a real-time person, maybe some of your friends or colleagues or anybody else, right, or if you're, they may say that like we are working in Business Intelligence Development Studio, but what we are learning is SQL Server Data Tools. So both are same, but the naming convention given by the Microsoft and the software they improved is a little bit different. Okay, so I'll show you this also, because you will understand actually how it looks like. So I opened another one, which is Business Intelligence Development Studio. Actually, this is the Business Intelligence Development Studio. If I go to File, New Project. Okay, so when you open the, this is 2008 R2. When you open the Business Intelligence projects using this, you will see something like this. Okay, this is the BITS environment. But if I open Visual SSDT, SQL Server Data Tools for 2013, I am seeing a different place here, right? This is something different. So what you should do is, when you click a new project, Okay, when you click a new project, automatically when you install the data SQL Server data tools for Visual Studio 2013, you will have these business intelligence applications here. Okay, so this is Microsoft Business Intelligence. So I told you, right, there are three parts. One is SSIS, second is SSIS, third is SSRS. SSIS is nothing but integration services. SSIS is analysis services. SSRS is reporting services. So if you want to create an integration services project, what you should do is you click on the integration services, and what you do is there are a couple of options: integration service import project wizard or integration services project. Okay, so what we do is let us do something like this. So let us create a project name. So let us create a project name as module 1 underscore Edureka underscore import export. Let us create a project something like this. So let me change the, you can change the path here. It can be stored in any of the locations. So it is by default it is storing in a location called Visual Studio 2013 projects. But what I'll do is I'll change to a different location. So I want to put it in a different location, right? So I want to put it in samples and SSIS 2014. If I want to create a new folder, what I can do is I'll put something like this here. I'll put class examples and I'll create a folder and I'll just select folder. So automatically the folder name is changed. So I'm storing it to Edureka, and this is the name of the project you are doing, because you are creating a new integration services project. Okay, this name is nothing but it is the name of the project. So in this one project you can have multiple SSIS packages created. So if you are from a .NET background, so a .NET background or a Java background, you have a project. Under that project you may having a different files, like something like the class files, or you may be having some web.config files, or you may be having some other application related files, but everything is under one project. So this whatever I'm highlighting now, so is called as a project. Okay, so you will see the same project name there. So this is the path where we store this project, and this is a solution name. Usually Microsoft has two concepts. One is the project and second one is the solution. So what is the difference between a project and solution? So project can be an integration services project. A project can be a reporting services project. A project can be an analysis services project. But there are few projects where you have the combination of these three things. Then that can be under one solution. Okay? You got it, right? So solution is on top of projects. So the solution name we are putting is, let us put the same name. Let us put the solution name as this name of the project. So what you will do is create the directory for solution. Just click OK. What it will do is it is creating a project. Okay. So very important thing, once you enter here, so on the left side Microsoft is giving you some samples. My first SSIS solution, control flow basics, data flow basics. So if you click this link, what happens, it will take you to a place where you can find some samples already created by Microsoft, so that you can go through them, right? So just click here. If you close this link, always you can go to a place called code.msgn.com, code.msgn.microsoft.com to find these things. Okay, so as this is not required currently, what I'm doing is I'm closing this. Okay, so now this is a integration services project, so we call it as a SSIS project, right? So what I'll do is I'll try to show you the different concepts of SSIS, different things available in the SSIS. SSIS is a place to develop ETL projects. Okay, so I'm just trying to write something here, but so this is the place where you create the SSIS projects. So you have opened SQL Server data tools and you have created a new project. You have given a path for the project and you have given a solution name for the project. And once you give the solution for the project, you entered into this area. right? So this area is called as SQL Server Data Tools, which is used to develop the ETL related projects. Okay. Here there are different things. Okay. Very important. Any questions, please raise it in the chat window. So whatever the solution name we gave, module 1 underscore Edureka underscore import export. So this is the solution name. Right? In this solution, it can have multiple projects. It can have SSIS project, SSIS project, and SSRS project. But this is the solution name. Okay, and these are the list of SSIS packages available. So currently we have a package called package.dtxs, which is by default created by Microsoft. So what I'll do is I'll press F2 on my computer, or what you can do is you can right click and rename also here. Okay, you can right click and rename, and what I'll do is I'll name it as demo SSIS. I'll try to rename it as demo SSIS, and what I'll do is I'm pressing Ctrl S in my computer, so which is a save, or you can go here to save your project. Save the project. Okay, so there are lot of things to learn here. Okay, so we talked about two important things. SSIS is nothing but two important things. So if I go back to the slide, if you can see this slide, I told you control flow plus data flow is nothing but a package. Okay, these are the very two important things in the package. So if I come back here, I have control flow here and data flow here. So these two are the important areas of any SSIS package. Remaining things are important, but it will go around these two things. Okay. So control flow is a place where you can define a workflow. Control flow is a place where you can define a workflow. Okay, so you have the different things which we want to, we have different things where we can use in the control flow. So on the left side, right, you have SSIS toolbox. SSIS toolbox for control flow, because my cursor is in the control flow, it is showing something related to the SSIS. It is showing something related to the control flow. So in the control flow, I have different tasks which I can perform. I can perform a data flow task within the control flow. I can execute a SQL command. I can execute some analysis services processing command. And I can do so many things. All the components which are present in the control flow are here. And we have some other concept like for loop container and for each loop container. And we have sequence container. So there are different types of components which we are going to use, and in the future you will go see the real-time examples of all these things. Okay, so these are the items in the control flow. Okay, so I'll do one thing. What I'll do is I'll double click on this data flow task. If I double click on this data flow task, what happens is automatically it will create one data flow task on my control flow window. Still my cursor is in control flow. I have double clicked, or you can drag and drop also, or you can drag and drop like this. Okay, so this is one of the tasks. In the control flow, what I want to do is I dragged and drop one data flow task. So what is a data flow task? Data flow task is nothing but it is a place where you can migrate the data, or you can move the data from source system to target system. So how can I move the data? Example, I double click here, the control automatically went to the data flow. Previously I was in control flow. Just observe it again. My cursor, my framework is in control flow now. What I did is I dragged and dropped a data flow task, and if I double click the data flow task, my control is already automatically going to the data flow. Okay, just see here, I'm double clicking it and automatically it is going to the data flow here. So within the data flow, we can use the ETL concept to extract, transform and load the data, right? So you have to extract from the source. So if you observe correctly, right, in the control flow you have a different set of components used, but in the data flow Once you double click and go to the data flow, you have a different set of components here. In the control flow you will have different components, and in the data flow you have different components. So here actually you can perform the real ETL operation. So here you have extract, which is from the source. Using the source assistant we can get the we can extract something from the source, and we can use these transformations. These are the list of transformations available. We will study about these transformations later, and then we can load into the destinations. So it can be these destinations, or you can use the destination assistant to load the data. So this is very, very high level and bird's view of SSIS. You have a toolbox which is related to the control flow. You have a data flow which is related to the moving of the data. Here you can play with, in the control flow you can play with the workflow, right, flow chart, and in the data flow you can move the real data. On the right side you have the list of SSIS packages, which is a demo SSIS is our SSIS package. Okay, and then you have some other tabs called parameters, event handlers, and package explorer. Parameters is something like where you can dynamically parameterize some of the things in your project. So if you want to send some parameters dynamically, we will use the concept of parameters. And then you have event handlers. So what is an event handler? If there is any error in the SSIS package, how you should handle it. If there is any if SSIS package flow task is in progress, what you should do. If there are any warnings, what you should do. It is nothing like, if you know already the programming languages, it is nothing but exception handling. In Java or .NET or C++, you know the concept of exceptional handling, right? In SQL Server also you have the concept of exceptional handling using the try-catch method. So the same concept of try-catch method or exception handling is present in the event handlers. And there is another section called package explorer. So package explorer is nothing but your Windows Explorer. If you open the if I open the Windows Explorer, it looks like this, right? You can explore the desktop, you can explore downloads, you can go to your drive, you can do anything here, right? So whatever is available here in your Windows operating system, it will show you. This is called as Windows Explorer. In the same way, you have a package explorer. It will show what are the executables or what are the connection managers available in your package so that you can explore them. So that is the basic idea about that. And then on the downside, you have the properties window. Okay, so these are the properties. So these are the control flow properties. Example, so it will say that what is the created date, and what is the creator name, what is the ID, what is the description. If I come down, what is the package type. I have so many properties here. These are very important and crucial in developing the SSIS packages. Just observe one thing. So if my cursor is in control flow, properties showing them something else. But if I put my cursor here, properties are changing for this task. So the properties will be changing depending on the task. Okay. On the downside, you have the connection managers. What is a connection manager? In the ETL operation, you connect to some source. Example, you are connecting to Oracle database, or you can connecting to a flat file. So connection manager will be created here. So this is a very high level overview. But what we will do is, we will create a package now, which will be created and which will be executed. But before doing that, right, I'll just go through the slides. Whatever we studied is in the form of slides. So we just went to SQL Server Data Tools for Visual Studio 2013. We clicked that and we created a new project. And once we created a new project, we changed the project name to Module 1 Import Export, and we changed the path. And then we saw that the package name is package.ttxs, and we changed it to demo.ssis.ttxs. And then on the left side, as I showed you, in the control flow, you have the workflow items, whatever is used in the flow chart or workflow. And on the right side, you have Solution Explorer, which is the name of the package, and we renamed this to demo.ssis.ttxs. So very important thing, the name of the SSIS package will be ending with DTSX, Data Transformation Services Extension. DTSX is nothing but Data Transformation Services Extension. Okay. And you have properties window here, as I discussed. These are the property windows, and these are the different windows with different tabs available. This is control flow, work data flow, parameters, event handlers, and package explorer. So whatever I explained related to these things, are the same thing is available in the slides. And I said you that in the bottom there are connection managers. If you are pulling the data from Oracle, there is a connection manager for Oracle. If you are pulling the data from a flat file, there is a connection manager for flat file. If you are pulling the data from a ERP system, there is a connection manager for the ERP system. So all the connection managers are maintained here. Okay, so these are the things what we did. So what we will do is we will create a SSIS package now. So what is the aim of the SSIS package is? Okay, the aim of the SSIS package is something like this. Okay, so I'll try to put that in the notepad. Objective for the package we are creating, right? What is the objective? The objective is something like this: connect to SQL database, okay, SQL database, and pick a table called currency. Okay, connect to SQL Server database and pick a table called currency. And once you pick the table, load the table into a flat file. A flat file is a notepad, right? Example, text file, right? It can be a text file. So so we will connect to SQL Server database, and what we will do is we will load that into a flat file. Okay. So for this, I'm not directly creating SSIS package. What I will use is, there is a concept called import export wizard, which is given by the Microsoft. Okay, SQL Server import export wizard to do these operations. So what we'll do is we'll create this import export wizard using SSIS. So how I will do is, I'll go here, right click, I'll go to the SSIS 2014 SQL Server data tools, go to SSIS packages, right click, and I have an option called SSIS import and export wizard. Click here, go to next. So it will ask what is your data source. So I should give what is my aim here. My aim is to connect to a SQL database and pick a table called currency. So what I'll do is, I will pick a SQL table, but I'll connect to a database. How can I connect to a database? So this is the data source. In this data source, I will use a client called SQL Server Native Client 11.0, which is a latest client to connect the SQL Server. Okay, and it will ask you what is the server name of the database which you are going to connect. So for every database, there is a server and instance name in SQL Server. So you have to specify the database server name so that it can point to that server and show you the list of databases. Correct? So I want to connect to a database called SQL. So this is my 2008 version of the database. Okay. So what I want to do is, I want to use a Windows authentication. But if you are practicing this in your computer, if you have a user ID and password for this server, then give the SQL Server authentication, give the user ID password. But my computer can work using the Windows authentication. Okay. So it will show you the list of databases available. If you drag and drop, it will show the list of databases available here. So I will select a database called Adventure Worlds DW 2008 after. This is my database, and I click next. So what I'll do is, that's it. So what it says, that specify where you want to copy the data to. So where you want to copy the data, my target is to copy the data into a flat file, right? So my target is to copy the data into the flat file. What I will do is, I'll give a flat file destination. So it will ask, okay, where do you want to put this? So what I will do is, I'll put in the Edureka, and I'll put it in I'll create a folder called outputs. I want to put it in some path in my local computer. You can choose any path. So what I'll do is, I'll give a name called currency. What it will do is, it will take the complete path, and it will create a currency.txt there. Okay, and leave the remaining options as it is. Just click next. So you have to specify copy data from one or more tables, or you want to write a query to pull the data. No, I want to just, my requirement, is to connect to SQL database and pick a table from called currency. I just want to pick one table. So what I'll do is I'll select these options. If you want to write a query, then you select this option. Okay. So it shows the list of tables available in the database. I selected Adventure Works PW228 R2 database. So it will show the list of tables available in the database. So I have to pick a table called currency. So my table called currency is available in the sale schema called sales. So what I'll do is I'll come down. So if I go to the sales schema, I have a table called currency, and I'll leave the remaining things as it is. So actually you can specify the row delimiter and column delimiter, how you want your row to be ended and how you want to be column to be ended. I can put the column delimited as a tab. I can put column delimited as a comma, or I can put anything, whatever is available here. Okay. Click next and then click finish. So what it is doing, it has internally connected to SQL Server database. It has picked up a table called currency, and it created a file called currency.txt, and it has loaded the data into it. Okay. But where is our data stored? So what I'll do is I'll go to that location. I created a folder called outputs, right? I'll go to Edureka. Class examples, and I have a table folder called outputs. Okay. Okay. So currently we don't find any currency.txt yet. So let us go to the SSIS packages and see where is exactly it is stored. I'm just closing here. So once I closed, what happened? Once I close, what happened is it is creating a SSIS package automatically for me, package1.dtxs. Okay. So in the package1.dtxs, it has created two connection managers for me. One is the connection manager which I am connecting to SQL Server, and one is the connection manager which I am connecting to the flat file. If I double click this flat file, this is it will show the connection manager which we have given for flat file. So I just double clicked it. So it is under process. So let us wait for it to open, and once it opens, right, it shows that where is the exact path it has copied the data. Okay. So it shows that. So this is the path it is showing the. It is creating the path, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to here. Okay, so the file has created in some other location. So I'll check what is the reason why it is not creating in that location. So basically, once you give the name, automatically you should be able to find that, right? So what I'll do is this is the currency file, which is the same currency file which will be created. So I just example, I opened this currency file, right? So this is the currency file which is taken from the SQL Server database, right? So this package is created automatically by SSIS package. So what happens in this package is I just double click the data, and there is a source currency, and there is a source query, and there is a destination query. So in the source, what is happening, if I double click this source, it is using a connection manager called source connection OLEDB and a table called currency. It is pulling the data from there, and it is loading into a flat file. Now we talked about the concept, right? It is doing the ETL, extract the data, transform the data, and load the data. Here it is only extracting and loading. There is no transformation. Okay, it is extracting and loading into the file. So what we can do is actually we can execute this package again. Okay, we can execute this package again multiple times. So based on your execution, right? So it will create the data here. So previously the data was not loaded, but if I come back here, right, in the Edureka class sample output, the file is created with the current thing called currency. So we have given a tab delimited as a column delimiter, right? So that's why like for every column there is a tab delimitation. So this is the tab, so right. So the data is getting loaded actually in this file. So this same data is present in the SQL Server currency table, right? So and the same data is getting loaded here. So what I can do is I can run this SSIS package again and again. Example, if I so once it is success, right, it shows a right mark. And what should I do is I should go here to stop this SSIS package, and I can run it again. So if it runs, so what is happening here? If I run it again, a file is already created when I run for the first time. But when I run it for the second time, what will happen? Let us see what is happening. Okay. So previously, right, it depends on the connection manager. So in the connection manager, if you set the option as overwrite the file, overwrite the content in the database. Example, if I double click this, you will have the option like whether you should overwrite the data or you should not overwrite the data. If you put the option as overwrite the data, then automatically the data will be overwritten. If you put the option as just not overwrite the data, it will not overwrite. So for this package, we have the condition like the data should not be overwritten. So that's why like we have the, even though the package is executed, it is showing that the same kind of data. So the final data is available in currency.txt. So this is the simple SSIS package what we created, but we will learn the more concepts about different transformations and other things in the next classes. Okay. So let me come back here. So this is what we created from here, right clicking, but you can do this in several places. You can go start all programs and you can go to SQL Server 2014. There is SQL Server import export wizard for 32-bit and 64-bit. Based on your OS version and your laptop version, you select. If your computer is 64-bit computer, just go to 64-bit. If your computer is 32-bit, just go to 32-bit. This is one place. Or if there is another place, once you log into SQL Server using the Management Studio, then you have the concept of import export wizard also there. So there are three options. This is one of the interview questions. What are the three places where you see the important import export wizard? One is in the Microsoft SQL Server import export in the all program start menu. Second one is in the SQL Server data to write. Whatever the exercise we did, right click on import export wizard, right? And the third one is using the SQL Server Management Studio, which is using the database, right? So we have given the step-by-step instructions here. What you can do is you can use the same step-by-step instructions and you can create your import export wizard.